Hello and welcome to our Open Line Election Special. I'm your host, Thomas Gandy. In advance of the May election, we have invited all of the candidates for mayor and city council to come to our studio and answer questions about many of the issues important to voters. All candidates will be asked the same series of questions. Those questions were provided to the candidates in advance. They will have up to 90 seconds to answer each one. Election Day is Saturday, May 14th. Any resident who is a registered voter may vote for the mayor's seat. Places 3 and 5 are single-member districts, and only registered voters living in the respective districts may vote for these candidates. Early voting runs May 2nd through 10th at City Hall, the Irving Arts Center, and the Valley Ranch Library. The City Secretary's office can answer your election questions. That number is 972-721-2493. There is more information on the city's website, cityofirving.org. Now to the interviews. We will be talking to the candidates in the order they will appear on the ballot. We begin with the mayor's race and Attorney Joe Putnam. Joe, thank you for being here.
My great pleasure. I appreciate the invitation.
Tell me, why do you want to serve as Irving's mayor?
Well, for the last several months, a year or so, a number of Irving citizens have asked me to run because of their concern with issues in the city, and I agreed to do it because I have the same concern as they do over the issues, some of the issues that we're dealing with in the city today, and so I agreed to be a candidate.
What qualifies you for this position?
Well, first of all, experience. I've served 19 years on the city council, so I have a good understanding of how city government works and how it ought to work. I've lived in the city for almost 43 years, so I have a lot of friends here, and I have a lot of knowledge about the city. I've been a self-employed attorney for all of those 43 years, and in that capacity, I've helped a lot of citizens and talked to a lot of citizens, so I think I have a very broad understanding of the city, and I think I have a very broad understanding of how to deal with the issues facing the city.
And let's get to some of those issues. What's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
Well, of course, my view is well known, and I think it needs to be canceled. I think there's a lot about that is harmful to the city, and I think the only way to protect the citizens of Irving is simply to cancel the project.
What about Heritage Crossing?
Well, that again is a project which has failed. It's not going anywhere. It's reached the end of the line. The only thing that remains to be done by the city is simply pick up the pieces that are there now. I think we need to terminate the contract with Mr. McDougall and find local expertise to determine where we go from here, because clearly the project has resulted in a cost of the city of $35 million. No projects or development at all, and a subsequent council, or the next council, is going to be faced with the task of really how to save as much as we can from the project, and at the same time determine how to deal with the $27 million we owe Co-America. So I think it's a matter of not only starting from scratch, but starting from trying to dig out of a deep hole.
In your view, what are the biggest needs that should be addressed in the city of Irving?
Well, I think first of all, what we need is responsible leadership on the city council. I think we need a city council that will be engaged in the management of the city and the operation of the city and in the community. I think we need to improve the management of the city in a number of ways, and I think that's going to be a challenge for the next city council. One of the reasons that I'm in the race is I believe the city is not being managed properly, and I think experienced responsible leadership is going to be required in order to restore good management and good management practices to the city.
Certainly something we all hear about on TV and read about in the news is the economy. It's affected all cities. What do you think about the way the city of Irving has responded so far?
Well, I've had an experience with this in 2001 and 2002, so I know what a city goes through and how to deal with it. And my view is the present city council and present city management have not handled the economic restrictions and downturn as well as they should. I think what they've done is try to decrease their spending requirements simply out of the employee needs and service needs. At the same time, they've continued to put money into capital projects, particularly in Las Colinas, and I think we need to have another look at the spending priorities of the city. For instance, it just doesn't make any sense to me to cut employees' salaries or freeze salaries and cut employees and reduce your fire and police budgets and library and parks budget, and at the same time give over $2 million a year to the Las Colinas Chamber of Commerce. So I think we need to take another look at how we have addressed our spending priorities.
A chance to elaborate on that some. Do you have any creative ideas on how the city can continue to deal with a tough economy moving forward?
Well, I don't have any creative ideas, but what I do know is that what we need is basic bread and butter, nuts and bolts of city management. And I had the opportunity to serve with two good city managers over the past 30 years, a fellow named Jack Huffman and recently Steve McCullough. And I think the best way to deal with economic issues and financial issues is simply a conservative, responsible, intelligent budgeting and spending. And I think we rather than have creative ideas necessarily or experimental ideas, I think we need to just go to basic city management, basic budgeting, and basic spending practices.
What should be done to keep and attract businesses in Irving?
Well, we're fortunate and we have a substantial business and commercial development because of our proximity to the airport and our location between the cities of Dallas and Fort Worth. And I think what the city can do is what it's always done, is provide a high level of city services to accommodate those businesses. We can't do anything about the location. We're lucky we have the location. I think the thing that we can do to maintain and retain our business customers is simply to maintain a high level of city services and work with them in ways that can be helpful.
Last question for you. What are you most proud of in the city of Irving?
Oh, the hundreds and hundreds of friends that I've made over the last 43 years. The thing that I still like about the city of Irving are the people. My wife and I have lived here together for 25 years. I've been here for 43 years, and we're probably going to continue to stay here because the thing that's been most meaningful to me and has been the best about Irving for me are the many, many friends that I've known over the years and the friends that I still have.
Joe Putnam, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
The next candidate for mayor is insurance agency owner Tom Spink. Tom, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate the time.
Why do you want to serve as Irving mayor?
Well, there's two specific reasons, Tom, both related to the citizens' money and to moving Irving forward. WFA did an expose on the money being spent at the Las Colinas Group and thought that there was some money maybe misappropriated. So I've called for a forensic audit on the expenses for the taxpayers to see where their money is and how it's been spent. This taxpayer audit should show us exactly how the money is used. The entertainment complex and the Heritage Crossing are two issues that the citizens feel like they really don't know all the issues, and that's the reason for the forensic audit. Now, on the other hand, I am for both projects. The only difference is I want it done with private funding rather than taxpayer capital.
We'll get to more questions on that in a moment, but first, what qualifies you for this position?
Well, my educational background, Tom, is engineering, business, and law. My business background is banking and insurance. And I've built an agency that puts banks in the insurance agency, puts banks in the insurance business, pardon me, which is the largest in Texas. Now, private placement is what I've done all my life, private funding for ventures. We did a movie in California, 1.6 million. I've done books with Warner Brothers for authors to promote their tours, singers to do their recordings. We did a 60-unit real estate transaction in the Metroplex for residential building. And most recently, we just put together a $100 million private placement for an Irving Convention Center hotel, 100% funded by private placement, not taxpayer funds.
Now to some of the issues that you touched on at the beginning. What's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
Well, first, I'm all for the project. It's going to bring jobs and so forth. But I call for this audit, this forensic audit, to find out about the money. I think the citizens want to know where the money is. They don't feel comfortable with what's going on. So with that being said, if we can do this with total 100% private funding, I'm all in favor of that. Now, in addition to that, with the entertainment complex, I'm talking about following the 60-40 rule, 60% food sales to 40% alcohol. If our restaurants have to live by it in Irving, then the city should live by it. No difference.
What about Heritage Crossing?
Heritage Crossing is an unusual case because it also seems like doesn't get all the facts out. Again, a reason we call for the forensic audit. And I call for the citizens that might agree with that or not agree with that to go to my website, spinkforirving.com, and there is a petition, and you can sign that petition on the website.
What are the biggest needs that you feel should be addressed right now in the city of Irving?
Well, the two biggest needs, the biggest need is a convention center hotel. The convention center right now is not being funded with a hot tax to the extent that it should be, so that we're running short on capital. We need to have a hotel to support that convention center. We got the funding on private funds, not taxpayer dollars, for a 250 to 400 room Westin with all private funds.
Certainly the economy has affected all cities. It's all over the news. What do you think about the way that the city has responded to the economy so far?
Well, I meant to add one point on the other, but if I might, and that is the PPC-1 rating of the fire department. We have a fire department that has a PPC-2 rating currently. I think we need to move that to a PPC-1. A PPC-1 rating will do this. It will allow the taxpayers, the citizens of Irving, the 40,000 residential owners, to save $125 on their homeowners' premiums a year. That's over $5 million savings to the citizens of Irving. And in that the business being driven in Irving is 75% commercial. That means over $25 million of reduction in premiums can be for our commercial businesses. And that's a big amount of money to use to bring business in.
With the time remaining, do you want to address the economy?
Yes, sir. The economy, it needs to be more aggressive. We need to be more aggressive to go out to get business. The economy certainly has hurt all businesses. We look around, we're very fortunate to be in Texas and very fortunate to be in Irving. With the great deals that's going on here with regard to trans-oriented development and highway system and so forth, we're very fortunate. So yes, we need to be more aggressive.
Do you have any creative ideas on what the city can do to continue to deal with the economy moving forward?
Well, yes, what I'd like to see is like when I was on city council, every Wednesday I'd go out with Don Williams with the Chamber of Commerce, and we would call on Irving businesses. And we'd find out what are their needs. And that's what we really need to establish. What does a business need to do business and stay in Irving? But more importantly, as importantly, we need to bring in new business, because new business is what's going to generate that private capital to create new businesses.
And on that note, what should be done to keep and attract businesses here in Irving?
Well, as I say, the way you attract businesses, you go out and you itemize what their needs are. Find out what they need. We have buildings that might be used. Anything you can do to help create jobs for bringing businesses here. Work with the Chamber. Chris Wallace does an outstanding job. Maura Gass does an outstanding job with the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau. But they need support and they need help. And as mayor, I would do that very thing, and I would call on the council to support the issue to be aggressively after business.
Last question for you. What are you most proud of in the city?
Well, first of all, Tom, you know, you'd have to say the people. But aside from that, it's the opportunity that we have for the future. That's got to be our number one attribute. In other words, we have great highway system. We are equal distance between two major airports. And we have the great opportunity of having this new trans-oriented development, the DART line, the orange line, to be the second to none in the trans-oriented development department. So that is what's going to drive and bring in new business. And that's why I ask people to give me your vote on Election Day. May 2nd starts early voting. May 14th is Election Day. And with your help, we can build Irving together.
Tom Spink, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your time.
Next up in the mayor's race is the incumbent, small business owner Herbert A. Gears. Mayor Gears, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Why do you want to continue to serve as mayor?
Well, it's an important role, in the community. All things come to the mayor. He's the leader of the city. He represents the city, and you can do a lot to help people. You can do a lot to make the city a better place to live. You work hard. I feel like I represent, people who have a deep love for this community as I do, and they care about what happens. They care about the future. They care about our neighborhoods. They care about all kinds of things, that make this a great place to live. So, I enjoy being able to make a difference in that way, and I think it's very important in the community that people do so.
What qualifies you for this position?
Well, for this position now, actually 6 years experience, as mayor, and then 6 years experience on the city council before that. But certainly just life experiences, provide you the opportunity to understand the intrinsic value of all people and to be able to represent others. And I feel uniquely qualified as an individual because of where I've come from in life and how my life is much different now than it was in the past, that I can represent others and do that very capably.
Getting to some of the issues now, what's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
Well, that's a significant economic development project. It means about 2,000 jobs and several hundred millions of dollars in economic impact to our community. Of course, we blew up our entertainment destination when we lost the Cowboys in Texas Stadium, and so that's an important part of the fabric of our hospitality industry, to have a destination where people from outside of Irving will come into Irving and spend their money so that we can continue to provide the great neighborhood city services that we provide here at a good cost to the citizens.
What about Heritage Crossing?
Very significant investment in South Irving redevelopment. We've been very successful so far with acquiring properties and tearing down old, dilapidated, unwanted apartments in Irving. That's typically the biggest complaint, is that we have too many apartments, and for the first time in serving as mayor, we've been able to tear down substandard apartments, over 1,000 substandard apartment and hotel units torn down in Irving, and we've seen tremendous impacts in our community from doing that. We've created great opportunities with the Heritage Crossing development for future projects. Economies are cyclical, and as the development economy returns and financing for projects, you're going to see all kinds of growth in South Irving. It's something that we had never been able to accomplish until the last few years. I'm very proud of it.
What are the biggest needs that you think should be addressed in the city of Irving?
Well, of course, the biggest need right now is to do something about, these unwanted substandard apartments. It's a very difficult job to do. You often encounter, the slumlord owner and his lawyer, but you have to fight those slumlord lawyers and continue to press forward, because we are over 60% apartments in Irving right now, and I believe that's our most challenging issue at the time. And we are aging, we're over 100 years old, and if we don't continue to attend to knocking down these substandard apartments, we'll see a degradation in the quality of life, which we had seen in the past, quite frankly. We've turned the corner, and we begin to make this place a better city to live in, and we see all types of positive impacts from tearing down those apartments in the crime rates and the different successes we've had there. So, it's my intention as mayor to continue that program, and to fight these slumlord lawyers that want to stop us. I believe it's important for our community to push forward with demolishing apartments.
We see that the economy is affecting all cities. What do you think about the way the city of Irving is responding?
Well, quite well, actually. Our general fund budget is about $18 million less than it was even 3 years ago. We've avoided massive layoffs, and we've had no cuts, in city services. We continue to maintain a high level of neighborhood city services and public safety and things that matter. We do that very economically with the lowest tax rate, in the North Texas area. We continue to have the lowest water rates out of the 36 cities, that we measure ourselves from. So, we've not seen the kind of problems that other cities have, and a lot of that comes from the management of the finances. That's why we are rated AAA by both rating agencies, and only 2 cities in Texas can claim that distinction. Only 20 out of 11,500 cities across the country, have the financial strength and stability that we've been able to maintain even in these tough economic times. And, it's even harder on Irving when the economy struggles, because 70% of the taxes in Irving are paid by businesses and commercial interests, and only 30% on the residential homeowners. That's very unusual for a community. So as the economy will have strains, we have strains in our budget. So we improve services, we make more efficient the services we're providing, and that saves the city millions of dollars with the process improvements that we've made with city staff and the city management team to be able to handle the down economy.
On that topic again, do you have any creative ideas on how the city can continue to deal with a tough economy moving forward?
Well, we're always creative, with our economic development initiatives, working with our 5-star accredited chamber. We have a great partnership there that succeeds in recruiting new businesses and also helping to retain businesses. Our largest job center is the Las Colinas Urban Center. This entertainment venue project, in fact, will provide amenities for those workers. That's the chief complaint we hear from large corporations that want to leave the urban center, is there's nothing there for their employees to do. They're not the types of amenities that you find in other first-class developments that are just as close to DFW Airport today as we are. So it's important that we remain competitive with being able to retain, and so we build public facilities, we partner with entities to attract new businesses to come to our city. And again, we want those businesses paying 70% of the taxes, to provide the types of excellent services that we're providing our citizens, and we want to keep that burden off the homeowners and the taxpayers.
Further on that topic, what should be done to keep and attract businesses?
Well, we invest heavily in our economic development partnership with the chamber. We are very competitive when we talk with corporations and to recruit them here with regards to our incentive programs. We firstly, though, attracted them here with our good quality school system. The Irving ISD was recently given a 5-star accreditation from the Comptroller's office, and only about 40 or so school districts across over 1,100 in Texas achieve that level of success. So we start with good schools. We start with safe neighborhoods to make people want to live here. So employees of companies, we are able to provide the advantages of a comfortable place that they want to live. And absolutely, we take advantage of our great location, and we market to the world all the great benefits of being in the center of the fastest growing metropolitan area in the country. Now remember, Irving is in the top 1% in cities in size in the United States. So 99% of cities across the country are smaller than Irving. So of course that means we'll have every challenge every large city has, but also every opportunity. So we've got tremendous advantages in competing for and attracting new businesses, and also to be able to retain our businesses. In fact, our South Irving commercial properties have 95% occupancy. We've done very well there. We were recently noted in the Dallas Business Journal as one of the hottest submarkets for commercial real estate in South Irving. So we'll continue those efforts.
What are you most proud of in the city? That's our last question.
What I'm most proud of is what the city has been able to do in reducing crime. Over the last 6 years as mayor, we have brought down crime over 27% overall crime in the city of Irving. That has a tremendous impact in many ways in our community. Previous to that, we'd seen crime rates rising at about a 10% rate. And quite frankly, tearing down apartments will help get that done. But even another contribution to that is our success with our criminal alien deportation program. Many citizens of Irving may not be aware that there have been more illegal immigrants deported from our city jail than from any other city jail in the United States of America, over 6,300. So we're leading the nation, as was reported on the front page of the New York Times, in immigration law enforcement. And we didn't have to pass any new laws to do that. We haven't been sued over doing that. No one's calling Irving a racist city because of that program, and we didn't spend one penny. All we simply did was instruct the federal government and make sure that they do their job behind the bars of our jail. That type of program and other programs in the police department, tearing down substandard apartments and nasty hotels on 183, which had over 400 police calls a year at the one hotel. That's why we've seen what I am most proud of, and that is a 40% reduction in violent crime. When we got in this job, we faced a mess of rising crime rates, and we committed to take that on, and we've dealt with that with the measures that we've taken, and violent crime has dropped in our community over 40%, and we've set record low crime rates every year for the last 4 years in the history of our community.
We're out of time. Herbert Gutierrez, thank you for being here.
I appreciate that very much.
Wrapping up our look at the mayor's race, we're talking with communications professional Beth Van Duyne. Beth, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
First, let's start with, why do you want to serve as Irving's mayor?
I had the opportunity and the privilege to serve on the city council in Irving from 2004 to 2010. I looked at what was going on in the city, and I really think that I can be a very strong mayor. I think that it's really important that we have a leader, that we have a professional in that position. We have someone who can talk to homeowners in parents as well as business professionals who understand the city from the north end to the south end, understand the needs of our residents and the needs of our business people, and I think I would be a fantastic person in that role.
You touched on this a little bit, but what qualifies you for this position?
I've lived in the city now for 25 years. I've been very involved in my homeowners association. Again, I served on the city council for 6 years. I am a communications executive. I am currently a head of corporate communications for a multinational corporation. I graduated from Cornell University magna cum laude with studies in city and regional planning and in government. I love the city. I've got 2 kids who live here. I've got my parents who live here. My whole family is here. And I want this to be a city in which people want to stay. I want my kids to be able to stay here, just like I did with my parents. We have a lot to offer. The city is located perfectly between 2 airports. It is in the center of the country. We've got fantastic businesses, and I think I can really contribute to that.
Let's get to the next topic, the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas. What's your take on that?
You know, the Irving area, especially in Las Colinas, right by the water, has got fantastic possibilities. I think if you look at the debt that has been put on that property for so long, it has prevented it from being able to really be created into what it could be. When you look at the entertainment district right now, there is the possibility that they're going to create even more debt on it. I don't think anybody would disagree that with a convention center there and as much money as we've put into the convention center, that you need some type of an entertainment area there. We need more restaurants, we need more nightlife. And I would say that the businesses that are in that area would agree with that more than anybody else. However, if you look at the current structure, the developer that has come in has allowed timelines to lapse and lapse and lapse. There has been no accountability from either the management of the project or from the developer. And the problem with that is the city has spent over $30 million on this project, and we have nothing to show for it right now. No dirt has been turned over. I think what we need to do is look at it, reevaluate it, do some forensic accounting on it as soon as possible, figure out where that money has been spent, whether or not the developer is actually going to be able to bring any money to the table that was offered over 5 years ago and has not been able to do so yet. And then we need to seriously consider, do we move forward with this project? Do we move forward with this developer?
Gotta leave it there because 90 seconds are up. So let's move on to the next one, Heritage Crossing. What's your take on that?
The Heritage Crossing is actually very similar with the entertainment center. You know, again, you have a developer who's come in who's missed deadlines. You've got a developer who has really no risk in the project. And what I mean by that is the city is on the hook right now. This developer has been able to come in and purchase properties that the city covers the cost for. He has gotten development fees. He has gotten fees as a realtor. And he has gotten fees from the city, who's also paid for all of his overhead. And the problem is at any point in time, if he decides that the project's not moving forward in a way that he wants, he can walk away and the city is on the line for all that debt. Very similar to the situation in the entertainment center. I think we need to look and make sure that we are holding the developers' feet to the fire in all of these situations. And that we don't get into a situation where our money is wrapped up in development that is holding and doing nothing. And if you look at the Heritage District, there's so much history there, and so many people are have a lot of pride in that area. I don't think that we're really doing the citizens a good job right now because we're not listening to them. We're not opening it up. I mean, when I was chairperson of the communications committee years ago, the first thing that I did was I started the communications committee open with the Heritage District. I said we need to have citizens who live there let us know what they want to do. And that was disbanded less than a year after I was taken off the communications committee. I understand it's recently been started up, but that was 4 or 5 years ago.
Gotcha. Next topic. What do you think are the biggest needs that should be addressed in the city of Irving?
I think we need to look at our spending. We need to get that under control. We need to stop putting our kids and ourselves in any more debt. I think we need to look at and being accountable. I think we need to make sure that we are professional, that we work with the business community. And I think we also need to look at our schools. You know, I hear a lot of complaints from business people and from parents that are sending their kids to private school. You know, the cost is a lot. And a lot of times, I mean, I'm looking at some of my best friends who are considering moving outside of Irving because they want a better school district. And I think what the city needs to do is we need to take a much more firmer stand. We need to get much more involved. We need to have at least quarterly, if not monthly, meetings with our school districts and act more in partnership. We have a lot of resources that we could share, and I really think that that's something that we should start doing as soon as possible.
Certainly the economy has affected all cities. What do you think about the way the city of Irving has responded so far?
You know, the economy has, you're right, the economy has affected a lot of the cities, but Texas was one of the last to be affected by the down in the economy. And I don't know that it's so much an economic problem that we're facing right now as a spending problem. We knew that the economy was starting to go down in 2007, and yet we continued to spend. We continued to get further in debt. And the way that we countered that was we increased fees. We did fee adjustments. We introduced new fees, and we increased taxes. And that's never a good thing, especially in a down economy, when you have citizens that are having a hard enough time making ends meet on what they have now, asking them to pay more of a contribution. And I think when we look at the economy, obviously we should be doing everything that we're asking our citizens to do. And I don't know that we do enough of that. In fact, I know that we don't do enough of that. There are a number of wasteful spending within our budget that I would like us to look at and take away from. I look at the amount of money that we spend on consultants. I look at the amount of money that we spend on extra staff members, not on full-time staff, but on, like our legal department. We will hire attorneys that we pay $700 an hour to. And is that really necessary, or do we have the expertise on our staff to do those things? And if we don't, why not?
That said, do you have any creative ideas on what the city should do to continue to deal with a tough economy moving forward?
I think that we have fantastic businesses in our community. I mean, nearly 70% of our property taxes are paid by our businesses. I think you need to have a mayor who can walk in and they can convince businesses to, 1, to come here, 2, to stay here, and 3, to increase jobs and their involvement in the community. I think we could very much do that. I think on the flip side, our homeowners would love to get more involved. We have people coming to us all the time who want to be on boards and commissions, and we have to send them away because we don't have enough places for them. Well, surely there's some type of force that we can get together that can be more productive. One of the things that I thought we should do years ago was create more or less a task force to go into neighborhoods. That would include police, it would include fire, volunteer organizations within the city, schools, where we could actually pinpoint. A lot of the high school students have volunteer hours that they are mandatory. We could give them things to work on within the city that would benefit an entire neighborhood, which would benefit the entire city. And I think if we just got a little bit wiser with our use of our money, and then this money that we've already put into, for example, economic development plans, let's make sure that we're spending it wisely. We've got $30 million right now wrapped up in a project that hasn't turned over a single piece of dirt.
You talked about business. What should be done to keep and attract businesses?
You know, you need to be able to walk into a CEO's office and listen to him and have him explain to you, or just a small business for that matter. You know, the small businesses are really what are the backbone of our city. You need to be able to understand what their concerns are. Obviously, schools are number one for them. You know, when we're talking about either having high quality of life for their employees or having resources for their employees to be able to hire even, schools are number one, and we need to do more with them. I think number 2 is looking at some of the rules and the regulations and the infrastructure that we put into place and make sure that we're involving them with our planning. We've got a fantastic Chamber of Commerce, and they do a good job of doing that, and I know that they also do a lot with our economic development. They are our economic development partner. But what are we doing as a city to involve them in with our infrastructure? When we are moving things around, are we giving them enough advanced knowledge? Are we taking them into account? When we have businesses who are looking to come into the city of Irving, how competitive are we? Do we include our business leaders in discussions with these people who are looking to come in? Because let's face it, they're not interested in talking to a city council member or the head of a smaller business. They're looking at talking to other business leaders who have experience with the city and can tell them whether or not this is a good place. If they do have a good experience, they'll do that for us.
Final question for you. What are you most proud of in the city of Irving?
We have so much to be proud of. You know, if you look at the businesses that we have, if you even look at the homeowner associations and the neighborhood associations, our neighbors, our community, I would say of everything in the city, it's the people that I'm most proud of. You know, I've lived here for 25 years. I've had opportunities to move, and this is the city that I love. We all have stayed here, and this is where we live. This is where we work. and this is where we go out and we eat. And it's a great place to be able to go to the grocery store, to be able to go to church, to be able to go to my kids' schools, and have known everybody for so long and have a history here. And I think it's important. My kids were born here. We've lived in the same house ever since I got married. And I think it's important that we have that sense of community. And I would say it's a great sense of community. And I just want to make sure that the future for tomorrow, that we have that and we create more of that.
All right. Beth Van Duyne, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
We are moving on to the candidates for City Council Place 3 now. First on the ballot is firefighter Dennis Webb. Dennis, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Why do you want to serve on Irving City Council?
Well, I've got one reason why I want to serve, and that's simply because I want to serve. I do not want to serve on the City Council because I have some personal agenda, because I'm mad at anybody, because I've got some special interest group that's, backing me to go serve. I just simply want to take the skills, the leadership skills that I have, the passion that I have for the city, the common sense thinking that I have, and just bring it to serve the city where I live.
What qualifies you for this position?
Well, basically, I got an extensive amount of leadership experience. I have been involved extensively civically in the city. I have a wealth of knowledge about the city. I've been in the city for over 30 years. I have served on numerous boards and commissions, the Planning and Zoning Commissions, the Mayor's Human Relations Advisory Committee. I have served the city by being part of 2 delegations that have gone to the All-American City Award contest. I pastor a church here in the city, and so I've got some leadership skills in the area of, leading people, dealing with budgets. I have basically served the city through my church by having a food pantry at my church, a clothes closet at my church, partnering with the Irving Independent School District to help in the education of the youth of our city, with tutoring programs. And so basically, I think when you put all that together, 25 years worth of, leadership experience, service, I think that qualifies me to run for the City Council.
Let's get to some of the issues that people are talking about in the city right now. What's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
Well, my take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas, I know it's a pretty hot topic in the city. It's been in the media quite a bit. I'm not really that privy to a lot of the, financing legalities, so I'm not really going to try to comment on that. The court systems will take care of that issue. What I will talk about as it relates to the entertainment center is my belief that the city of Irving, after losing Texas Stadium, we really don't have a major entertainment venue. And so I think that we do need to pursue some type of entertainment venue, and especially a entertainment venue that's going to, have quality restaurants in the urban center. I think that having a entertainment venue in the urban center will complement the convention center, will also help bring some more vitality, and will help the Urban Convention and Visitors Bureau promote the convention center. So I just think that, we need to have a place like Dallas, Fort Worth, Grand Prairie, Arlington. All these places have, entertainment venues that draw people to their city. These people spend disposable income. That creates new revenues. A venue like the Entertainment Center will also, create jobs.
What about Heritage Crossing?
Well, that's another hot button issue. Not being on the council, I'm not privy to a lot of the information that, seating council members have now. Most of the information that I have is basically what I've heard and what I've tried to educate myself on over the last, few weeks. I'm hearing some good things about the redevelopment of, the Heritage District. I'm hearing some bad things. Basically, what I will say is that I am supportive of the redevelopment of the downtown area. That is, a trend that's going on across the nation. I've driven downtown. I do see some things that are positive. The new McDonald's, the largest in the state of Texas. The Burger King going in, the change of the facades on some of the buildings. Vacant land, which is a plus because, you can develop on vacant land. Just a general feel of a regeneration downtown. So I think that we need to really continue with the redevelopment. Now, whether we do it with, the present developer they have or somebody else, I don't know. Once on the council, I'd like to take a look at that and then make my decision then. But overall, I support redeveloping the older areas of Irving, not only downtown Irving, but any other older area of the city that will benefit the city by being redeveloped.
In your view, what are the biggest needs that should be addressed in the city of Irving?
Well, I think the biggest needs that need to be addressed in the city of Irving, first of all, is to make sure that our crime rate continues to drop. Crime is one of those things that people concern themselves with when they're talking about, locating to a city. Crime is something that we all can become victims of. So if we can make the city of Irving as safe as possible, that's beneficial. I think one of the other issues that we need to address in our city is the fact that we are a very diverse, culturally diverse city, and that we need to create an environment in our city that is positive for all ethnic groups, all races, all cultures, so that we don't end up having a polarized city, with all the different ethnic groups and races, vying for, power, or vying for, their slice of the pie, and then we end up, having racial tensions in the city. And then I think the third thing that I would say is that we need to help support the Irving Independent School District and make our school district even better, because that's one of the things that businesses take into account when they start talking about relocating to a city. It's school district.
Certainly the economy has affected all cities. What do you think about the way the city of Irving has responded so far?
Well, you're right, and when you say that the economy has affected all cities, it's affected households, it has affected, the state governments, the federal government, so everybody is dealing with this, and everybody's trying to come up with strategies to, overcome it. I think the city of Irving has done a great job in responding to the challenges. We were blessed with some, leaders, previous council, previous management, and the present council, who, in their wisdom, began to streamline, departments in the city to save costs. When we look at, the fact that we have a AAA bond rating, we still have maintained that in the midst of this economy. We haven't laid off any employees. We haven't furloughed any jobs. We haven't had people haven't had to have people work any non-status work days. In the midst of all of that, we still are providing services. We're not cutting services. So they have done something right in responding to this economy for the city of Irving, unlike some other cities, to still have all of those positive, entities going on.
Do you have any creative ideas of what the city can do to continue to deal with the economic conditions going forward?
Well, I don't think I need to have any creative ideas. I think we just need to continue to do the things that are working. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. If something is working, keep utilizing it. If I had to really come up with, say, something that's creative, this is kind of one of my own philosophies. I'm a big proponent of volunteerism. I pastor a church, a fairly large-sized facility, and our church does not have any full-time paid employees. Even myself, I do not get paid. I promote volunteerism, and because of the money that we save, because of the volunteers that we have, we're able to provide some services to the community, that we don't have to spend a lot of money for. Now, I'm not promoting and advocating, replacing city employees with volunteers. I'm wise enough to know that that'll never happen. But I'm saying that, maybe we could kind of think out the box a little bit and maybe figure out some ways that utilizing, the great citizens of Irving, volunteers, we can kind of save a little money here and there, and it adds up in the long run.
What should be done to keep and attract businesses in our city?
Well, the first thing that you have to do is you have to create an environment whereby that business does not have, great tax burdens. We got to keep the business taxes low enough so that businesses are not drawn to other cities with lower tax bases or whatever. But also, I think the most important thing that we need to do is we need to find out what it is that attracts and keep businesses in a city. And we have a entity in our city called the Irving Los Colinas Chamber of Commerce, and that is what they do. They are talking to businesses every day. They know what it takes. They know what businesses want. And so I think as a city leadership, we need to listen to them. We need to find out from them what is it going to take to attract and keep businesses, and then we need to work with them to make that come to pass.
Final question for you today. What are you most proud of in Irving?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of in Irving is when I look around at the economy and I look around at other cities, how they're laying off employees. Their development has basically come to a halt. Knowing what I know, being on the Planning and Zoning Commission for many years, seeing some of the the zoning and the plats and some of the things that are in the works but hasn't come up from the ground yet. However, I do know that we still got viable development that's taking place, and especially in Las Colinas and the urban center. Irving, that is boy, I tell you, that's a great treasure for the city of Irving, that urban center in Las Colinas, and especially when pretty much it takes care of about 70% of our tax base, which takes a lot of the tax burden off the residents like me.
Dennis Webb, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Next on the ballot for City Council Place 3 is emergency room technician Kensley Stewart. Kensley, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Why do you want to serve on Irving City Council?
Well, over the past few years, I've been in touch with a lot of voters, and in talking with them, and there's a serious feeling of disconnect between the voters and their elected officials. And I feel that we need better representation on City Council by people who are not necessarily groomed by a public employee union or the City Hall or the city staff. And I feel that because I have no connections to City Hall, that I would be a good representative for Place 3.
What qualifies you for this position?
Qualifies me for this position is my efforts that I've made on several of those campaigns and speaking with those voters. I built a good rapport with them, and I built relationships.
Now let's get to some of the issues that people are talking about. What's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
I like it as a concept. I mean, it's going to be a great economic boost for the economy. My problem with it is the way that it's funded. It seems as though the city is wanting to get into the realm of private business and private enterprise. When Mr. Gutierrez spoke, he mentioned that they're going to be in the concessions business. That's not the proper role of government. The proper role of government should be laying utilities, allowing for right-of-ways, things like that. The proper role of business is concessions.
Next up, we want to talk about Heritage Crossing. What's your take?
Another project that I like in concept, but the execution is very troubling. For $144,000 a year, I expect to see more than just empty lots. The visionary that was Mr. McDougal just hasn't showed up to the game.
In your view, what are the biggest needs that should be addressed right now in the city of Irving?
The biggest needs for the city of Irving, we need to make sure we maintain our AAA bond rating. By not having the taxpayers on the hook for risky projects and ventures is the best way to do that.
Certainly the economy has affected all cities. How do you feel that the city of Irving has responded to the downturn in the economy so far?
Well, if you consider raising tax rates on property a good thing, then they're doing a great job. I, however, was very concerned about the tax rate increase. I understand that it was good in that it was not without merit. But the problem with the tax rate increase, property tax rate increase, was there was no mention of adjustment when the property taxes or when the property values go back up. I intend to make sure that that discussion is held.
Do you have any creative ideas of what the city should continue to do as the economy kind of struggles?
Well, let's start by not investing in poorly based projects and keep the boot off of the local businessman. Make sure that he has everything he needs, as well as not trying to take everything that you can from him.
What should be done to keep and attract local businesses?
Some of the things that could be done is when new business want to come in town, instead of a complete abatement, partial abatements, especially if you're smaller businesses who, as you know, their first year in business is most of the time the do or die. Many businesses fail after the first year. And I would like to make sure that we're not just hitting every small business that we can for as much as we can. We need to give them a chance to get grounded so they can grow and be a permanent part of the community.
Last question for you. What are you most proud of in the city of Irving?
What I was most proud of was when they were when they've been addressing the Heritage Crossing project. They did not use eminent domain, and I was very thankful for that. And I even spoke at the city council and thanked them for not using eminent domain in that project. They very easily could have, but they chose not to.
All right. Kensley, Stewart, thanks for coming in.
Thank you again.
The final candidate for City Council Place 3 is woodworking business owner David Gutierrez. David, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you.
Tell me why you want to serve on Irving City Council.
Well, I've lived in Irving since '87, and when I came here with the thought that I wanted to. It was centralized. It was a good city to start a family, and so I did start. I started with those intents, and along the way, I've grown roots here, and I've come to be very fond, and I've loved and I like Irving a lot. I like it because it has potential, a lot of potential to be more than what it is, and I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that growth. I want to be part of that, the economy growth of it, the futuristic of it. It's just an exciting place to be and an exciting time to be in, and I'm looking forward to that.
What qualifies you for this position?
I have lived in that area of District 3 for a little bit more than 20 years, and along that period of time, I have been in numerous committees. I've been with the bond committee, with the U.S. Census committee. I've been also I was with the health board here recently for almost 5 years, and I've also was the president for the Urban Sister Cities. What qualifies me on this aspect is that, number one, I have an undergraduate degree from North Texas State University, majored in majored in biology, minor in chemistry. Worked for 15 years in the science field or chemistry field. I am also, from a military standpoint, I'm a Vietnam veteran, 21 years of military behind me, and also with the Texas Army National Guard. That also has I was taught from leadership courses. I was taught how to do whatever I can, especially when being in the Marine Corps. So once you're a Marine, you can do anything you want to. So that qualifies me. And then on top of that, the business aspect that I've been in, it's almost like 20 plus years that I've been in it already. I feel with all those experiences that I've held, qualifies me to be in the city council.
Shifting now to some of the issues that people are talking about, what's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
I believe the Entertainment Center is a good venue, and I believe it's good for the city. But I believe at this time there's a lot of people that I've come across that are not very content with it. I believe we need some more information, especially from financial standpoints. But the overall, I can see the benefits from the entertainment center, bringing in jobs, bringing in visitors that can partake in the events and the venues that happen there. It helps from the standpoint of the city creating monies, tax bases per se, revenue that could also help ease the tax burdens on taxpayers here for the city of Irving. And because we have, of course, it would attract a lot. I would think it would attract a lot of people here, because once the Orange Line is built, that is also a pathway, a roadway for people to come and visit, and it'd be real centralized right there with our new convention center. And I just think it would be a great asset for Irving for the future. But of course, we still need to think about if we're going to be able to handle the financial aspects of it.
What about Heritage Crossing?
Heritage Crossing has a lot of potential as well. I always have loved the downtown area, the old downtown area, and but with the venues that we have, the projects that we have going on with the McDougal development, I see the potentials from the empty lots that we have now, that we really need to do something with them we can and start working on in order for us to produce revenue. That would also be another avenue to bring in monies into the city. But I could see a lot of type of condos in there. I could see stores within the area. I could see facilities where people can enjoy. We already have the senior citizen center there. I could see other areas where it could be very good for everybody in ways, and also produce jobs downtown where people can also use the rail lines to get to work and travel back and forth. And so it would be a very access for people that would like to be here, right here. And by bringing those aspects of the heritage building would only bring up this area and also bring revenue to the city.
In your view, what are the biggest needs that need to be addressed in the city of Irving?
Right now we have a lot of people that are more concerned is the budget of the city. And because the areas that I have been visiting, we have, well, majority would be maybe 60 on up. And they're very concerned because they also live in the budget. And they want to know why maybe we might be having difficulty in trying to accomplish some projects when maybe the city doesn't have any money or is having issues with it. And I think these people just need to be informed and told exactly in some way that people can understand that what we're doing or the city's doing is for the betterment of the city. But we have people that are also concerned about safety. There are people that are concerned about health, making sure that the streets and their areas are secured. For people having some vandalism in their neighborhoods, so those are concerns. And we also have people that elderly people that live by themselves that are also concerned about safety, to making sure that their streets are lighted, the roads are fair, and that there's police presence around the neighborhood. Those are some of the things that I have come across and I know that some of them might be some needs.
Your comments on the budget lead into the next topic, the economy. It certainly affected all cities. How do you think the city of Irving has responded so far?
I believe the city has responded well with it. I believe the city has done good to that point, due to the fact that, like I said, the city right now, like the entertainment center, I go back to that. I think the city is, and the council members that have been previous, they have all been in favor of, for example, the entertainment center. And the city has also been inclined to have something like that because, again, it brings in the jobs, it brings in the monies that it would help the city from the tax base. So the city does have ways and is doing a little bit more, and we have more that I would think that other cities might be going through. We have a good city manager that understands and knows the things that would need to be done in order for property taxes not to go up, and also businesses to come in.
Do you have any creative ideas of what the city can do to continue to deal with the economic conditions going forward?
The things that I can think is just bringing in, of course, bringing the business in, building up on the empty properties that we have here, empty lots that we have in the old downtown area. Also looking furthermore into the entertainment center aspect, venue, and with that in mind, again, he'll create the jobs that we need. He'll create the revenue that we need for the city.
What should be done to keep and attract businesses?
I believe one is that we have to make sure that we can sell people to come to Irving because possibly maybe of the entertainment center venue. We have the convention center, development of the heritage section area, improvement of our Irving Boulevard corridor, the improvement of the 183, and not only that, but we also have now. Very soon, sometimes in the future, the development of the crossroads with Loop 12 and 114. All that in mind could bring a lot of jobs, a lot of businesses in, because we're closer to the DFW area, where it's easy for traveling from that aspect. And I believe by then, Irving will have just about maybe all the things that we need for a city needs to really thrive, and bring those visitors in, and come over and spend their money.
All right, my final question for you: what are you most proud of in the city of Irving?
The people. I think even though we are where we at in this time, this city is great. I can only say that every time that I leave the city, and I'm out of town, and then I'll be 2-3 days away or 3 days gone, it always feels great just to see the city limits up in front of me, because to me, I feel safe here. I feel safe. This is my home, and it's just like having your own home. You're protected with your walls. You're protected with the people, with the police department, with the fire department that's there. If anything happens, they will be responding to that call ASAP. So all those entail is like, this is a place to be, and it's an exciting place. Not only that, because we're right in the center of everything else, it's just like our hands are open. Come on in.
All right, David Gutierrez, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Next up, we are talking to the two candidates for City Council Place 5. First on the ballot is incumbent council member and mediator Rose Candidate. Rose, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Thomas.
Why do you want to continue to serve on Irving City Council?
Actually, it's the same reasons for when I first ran 4 years ago and was elected to the council. I could see that Irving was strategically placed to move forward. A lot of people had felt like it had been stagnant in growth for many years, and I could see the beginnings of what was going to be happening in economic development, transportation, and the revitalization of the community. And so that's what really piqued my interest, because my diversified background, I felt, made me very qualified to do the job.
You mentioned qualifications. What qualifies you for this position?
Over the years, I had a real estate license for many years, and so I did both commercial and residential developments. I actually built my own home here in Irving. I also have the mediation business, of course, and I mediate out a lot of different types of mediations, and so that background in EEOC and regular mediations helps me a lot in my business. But I also have I have an associate's degree in banking and finance, and I have a master's and a bachelor's in marketing and psychology. So I have a lot of different things over the years, and also way back in my early years, I was in radio television. So I know a lot about communications, and all of those together are important when you're on council, to be able to deal with people, to be able to analyze, resolve issues, and of course, like I said, my understanding, there's a lot that you have to do with the budget, contracts, and things like that. So I felt all of this came together to make me one of the perfect candidates for the job.
To the issues now, what's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center in Las Colinas?
It's unfortunate. I just got an email before I came in, just a notification that the former mayor and AEG have filed a suit against us to go to the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court. So that means there's going to be more money spent. When this entertainment venue came about, it was because it was requested by the corporations in this city. A lot of them, their leases are coming up in 2 to 3 years, and they're saying, we're tired of driving somewhere else. We want someplace to take our clients. We want someplace for our employees to eat. We want places for them to live. And so we began putting a focus on single-family development and looking for something, since the Cowboys are gone, to redefine our city and make it a place of destination. And that's how the entertainment venue came into being in the first place. And it's needed because having more people come into our city helps support the businesses that are already here, and it also helps us with our tax base. We can't afford to lose those corporations. They pay 75% of our taxes, and that's what keeps the Irving residents from only having to shoulder 25% of the taxes.
What about Heritage Crossing?
Heritage Crossing is, it's unfortunate. My goal, if I'd have been queen, was to, I always wanted the citizens involved. I wanted to have a citizens organization, a group that came together, that was polled, that we would collect ideas from everybody on what their vision was of the Heritage District. because that wasn't done, and a lot of people felt like disconnected from it, and then, you know, when you're starting to do changes, there's a lot of fear involved. Nobody knows what's coming, and that started a lot of the blowback from citizens. But the fact of the matter is, we have that Heritage Communications Committee now. They're doing a great job, and I've seen the community calm down because they are doing just what I just said. They're now creating the vision. They're going to look at other developments. They're coming back to think what they want here. We don't want a bunch of high-rises right there in old downtown Irving. We want it to look like an old downtown and then have the other housing and other developments around it. So I think that it's great. It's going to be good for this city. We're in a recession, we have to remember, so people aren't loaning a lot of money. But McDougal has done what we asked him to do, and we had taken part of his money and cleared out all of those apartment complexes that were rat and roach infested. So if you drive through the downtown area now, it looks cleaner. A lot of people that are already there have redesigned or redeveloped their buildings, and there has been a lot happening in the Heritage District.
Leave it there because your time is up. What do you think are the biggest needs that should be addressed in the city of Irving?
Always for me, it's been transportation, water, and economic development. The economic development is because we've got I say transportation first. We got the DART line coming through. We're going to have 7 transit-oriented developments along this line. We call them TODs for short. And we need to be able to develop out each one of those. And one of them will be around the old Texas Stadium area. The other was in Las Colinas. And that's important to our economic development. That's part of our engine, our economic engine that keeps the growth in this city. And like I say, I'm always looking at our tax base because that keeps the citizens' tax base low. Transportation, we've worked hard to keep DART on schedule, getting it into DFW. We've had some major fights to get DART to do what they're supposed to do. And we have a lot happening around us, all of the redoing of Highway 183. We have an overlay for that to bring in more. We're identifying new businesses as well as helping the old businesses that were there relocate. And what did I say? Transportation, economic, and water. I know I was at TML recently, and one of the, I was the moderator for a roundtable of the major cities in Texas, and water is the big issue for everybody, and thank goodness we're ahead of that curve because we've already got our pipeline to East Texas and we're already identifying new water resources, and that's why our water rates are the lowest in the state.
The economy has affected all cities. What do you think of the way the city of Irving is responding?
We are in a beautiful position. I know that people feel a lot of times the sky's falling from some of the things they hear, but when I go out and I talk to other mayors and council people, they've got problems. They're closing libraries early. They're laid off hundreds of people. They can't perform their city services and everything, and because of our Lean Six Sigma program, which is nothing more than a good management tool. Corporations use it, and the management tool helps us run lean. A lot of people think because we haven't filled some of the positions as people have retired or just left by attrition that we're doing something wrong, but we're not. We're running a lean. It's just like you do at home. You lean down in the hard times to get us through this. We haven't done away with positions. We'll refill them when times are better. And then some of the people that are there, say for instance at the library, everybody got upset when they thought we didn't have a head librarian, but we have 29 certified librarians. And Chris Mahalski that has over parks, has took over library. It's a management deal, but the boards are still there running them. And what we did is pay him a little bit more money, and by that we saved over $200,000 or $300,000 just on one employee. So we've done that all over the city. That's how we're staying ahead of the curve.
Do you have any creative ideas of what the city can do to continue to deal with a tough economy moving forward?
We'll be doing more of the same and running a lean ship. But the other thing is that, you know, this past year we've attracted, I believe it's 33 new businesses. I can't remember if it's 33 or 55 business to our city. That's brought in over 2,000 something new jobs. So we're continuing. People don't realize, but we actually have more jobs in Irving than we have citizens. And we have now, on the new census, we've got 217,000 citizens. So we are doing all of those things to keep our city viable and to keep our taxes, our tax base strong. And we just got our AAA bond rating again, and that is not easy to do in a recession, and we are 1 out of 2 cities in the state of Texas that have a AAA bond rating.
What should be done to keep and attract businesses?
Well, you know, I'm the liaison with the Chamber as well as the ICVB, and we're working all the time. We have an economic development branch of the Chamber that the city funds, and I know they've brought in 2 major corporations, one from California and one from up north, that have moved, that chose Irving, because Texas is a right-to-work state. Our taxes are low. We give great service here. We're close to the airport. I was at a luncheon the other day. The author has written a new book I recommend people read. It's called Aerotropolis, and it talks about the future. It's a forecasting of cities that are near airports and what their growth is going to look like and how it's going to benefit us even more. We've always known DFW helps us, but this shows us it's going to propel us even further as far as the dynamics of the future, because people want to be close where there's speed, they want to be close where it's centrally located, and that's why a lot of corporations come here, because they can go east or west, north or in any direction quickly, and they like that, and they like our city. We do really good service for these corporations, and they always are raving about our response to them. And so we want to keep them happy and keep them here.
Last question for you today. What are you most proud of in the city of Irving?
You know, one of the things I always have been attracted to Irving about is that it really cares about its families, the people that live here. And that's why we were first to build a state-of-the-art senior citizen center, and we're now looking at building another one. We have built, you know, these water aquatic centers. I am on the library board, and we are developing these state-of-the-art libraries. We have one that opens in just a few days over off of Rochelle and Esther's. They are technologically advanced. We've been ahead of the curve in looking and taking care and providing things to help families. It's just like our Family Advocacy Center. There's a free counseling service there for families that get in trouble and they have nowhere to turn. They go there for free and can get the counseling. So everything we do in this city adds to the quality of life, and it really is. We've made it a safer place to live. Through a lot of our programs, you know, our violent crime is down 40%. If you have a heart attack in our city, anywhere you want to be in Irving, because we have the #1 resuscitation rate in the state, and so as well as our public safety and all the ways of water, and then the quality of life. That's what I'm most proud of, and it's a great place to live, and the people are wonderful.
Rose Canada, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Also on the ballot for City Council Place 5 is pet transport driver Julie D. Grant. Julie, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me here.
Tell me, why do you want to serve on Irving City Council?
Well, I got tired of sitting at home and just complaining and not doing anything. And one day I woke up like the proverbial one and said, I wonder why someone's not doing anything. And then I realized I was someone and I was qualified. And I talked with a lot of people and they said, go for it. And I thought it was a good idea.
So what qualifies you for this position?
Well, I've been involved in the community for many years. I'm a 37-year resident, have a small business that's been here for 7 years. I've been involved in as area director of a national charity. I'm the current president of the Heritage Advisory Council. I've been involved with the Poverty and Homeless Coalition and many other areas, as well as volunteer with the Code Department. So I've been in different areas and talked with different people, and I've gotten to know how the city runs, and I think I could be a valuable asset to it.
Let's get to some of the issues. What's your take on the Irving Entertainment Center at Las Colinas?
The Entertainment Center is really a hot topic right now among the residents, and unfortunately, they were promised that there was not going to be any tax payment out of our wallets, and that has not proven to be true. And so because of that, I've talked with residents, I've walked the area, talked with them in their gardens and on the street corners, and found out that they're very unhappy about the way it's being handled. We do have private funding available to pay for the whole thing, and I think that's the way we should go.
What about Heritage Crossing?
640 acres of beautiful land that needs to be developed, and it hasn't been. And very bluntly, I think that we need to tell Delbert McDougall that the contract has been breached. We need to stop that contract. We need to put it out for bids and find someone with a really good track record that can develop that the way the plans were originally written.
What do you think are the biggest needs that should be addressed in the city of Irving at this moment?
Well, of course, the economy is a big one. And I think that we can deal with that. But again, we're looking at two issues, the entertainment center and the South Irving Improvement Project. If we can get those two things going in an advantageous way for our residents, we'll have a great way to combat the economy.
You talk about the economy, and that's the topic in our next question. Certainly, it's affected all cities across the country. What do you think about the way the city of Irving has handled the economy and responded to the economic situation so far?
Well, I think their ideas are good. They've been focusing on the Fortune 500 companies, bringing them in, which does bring in revenue and helps jobs and helps the economy, the city economy. However, I think we've neglected the moms and pops and the entrepreneurs. We haven't done anything to encourage them to come here and to stay here and to expand and grow. And I think if we look on that issue, that can be added to the plans that we have to help with the economy.
Do you have any creative ideas on what the city can do to continue to deal with the tough economy moving forward?
Oh, yes. As I said, we can take the heritage theme for one thing and expand on it, not just make it downtown, but to follow the whole 356 highway, Irving Boulevard, down and enlarge on this idea. We have developers out there that are bringing in very nice single-family homes. We need to give them some place to go. We have small businesses down there with hand-painted signs, but we do need to dress it up and carry the theme forward so that we increase tourist traffic through Irving, and once we do that, then of course our revenue will increase.
What should be done to keep and attract businesses?
I think, of course, we need to incentivize, but more than that, we need to listen to our residents. They have great ideas, and they can come up with some of the most creative things to help our city take care of the revenue, take care of the tourist industry, take care of the entertainment city, develop different places around the city. To focus just downtown is sort of limiting. And it's going to limit jobs, it's going to limit economy, it's going to limit everything. So we need to broaden our viewpoint.
Final question for you. What are you most proud of in the city of Irving?
Our residents. We have the most creative, the most courageous, and the most resilient residents, I think, of any city in this area. They've, as I said, I've talked with him, sat down with him, walked with him. They have great ideas, and I think if we could bring back the Citizens Forum during the City Council meetings as it was originally put out there, we would find residents coming up. We'd need to encourage them at first, of course, but once they knew it was there, they would come in and they would bring their ideas, and they would bring their, respectfully submit their ideas of how the city could really expand and be a great destination for not only people in this area, but the tourists that come in.
Julie Grant, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this special edition of Open Line, our election special. A reminder that Election Day is May 14th and early voting runs May 2nd through May 10th. Be sure to watch our next edition of Open Line live at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, May 4th. Our guests will have tips on how to save money on energy costs. Go ahead and submit questions for our guests by emailing ictn@cityofirving.org or send them via Facebook and Twitter, and we'll get answers for you on our next edition of Open Line. We'll see you then.